All right. Hopefully everyone can hear me now. Sorry, it was just taking a little long there to connect. I had to restart, but I think we're good to go now. If you guys could just let me know if you can hear me, that would be great. I always appreciate knowing if I can be heard or if I'm just talking to myself here. But welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day, a great Wednesday so far. Got an interesting topic today. I'll be honest, this is one that I'm really looking forward to, talking a little bit about maybe what most people ask me when it comes to diets is something around the keto diet. You're seeing it everywhere. You're seeing it in videos, in articles, and a lot of my clients, it's almost a daily discussion that we're having around the keto diet. So we're going to talk about everything from what it is, all right, the different types of keto diets, because it's all right, if we were just saying there was one type and generalizing it, I think we would be doing a disservice again, all right, because there is different types of keto diets out there, from very low carb to high protein to sometimes getting in a little bit of carbs during your workouts. One popular one that I know some of my clients tried was, being on a strict keto diet for, 6 days and having one day where they could add a little bit of carbs in. So we'll talk about all that and more. And then, of course, we're going to answer the question to our title, is keto the best diet to lose weight? So I think it's going to be an excellent topic today, guys. Anarchy413, thank you so much. Always nice to know that you guys can hear me. And, of course, as always, I'd love to hear and see where you guys are from. So if you guys can, post and chat, where you're from, where you're listening from. I always love hearing it. You guys have been doing such a good job each and every stream. And it seems like each and every, live stream that we do, we're getting people from different areas, new people kind of finding the channel, new people finding the chat and coming on in here. So we're getting everyone from Dubai, Australia, UK, Nigeria, South Africa, tons of people in the United States and Canada. So absolutely amazing. Again, I love hearing it. And you guys have even been doing a good job in the comments of letting me know. So after I repost these live chats, letting me know in the comments where you guys are listening from. So I really do appreciate that. Oh, you eat healthy foods for track and field. That's awesome. TT, Mr. Thompson. Yeah, absolutely. Again, if you're doing some sort of athletics or workouts, healthy foods are going to be very important for you. If you're an athlete, of course, they're your fuel. That's what's fueling you. You want to fuel your body with good, healthy foods. Oh, Puerto Rico. Very nice, Anarchy. That's awesome. It might be the first time I've seen Puerto Rico in here, but I think I might have seen Costa Rica before. And not to lump the two together, but, I'm just trying to remember if there's a Puerto Rico in there, but you might be the first. So thank you so much for joining. I appreciate it. Welcome. All right, guys, so let's get into what exactly the keto diet is. All right, and is it the best diet to lose weight? Because, I've talked a little bit about this before. Diets come and go. There's fads. All right. There was Atkins before, probably like 15 years ago, maybe 20 years ago. Atkins was super popular. Then it sort of changed to, does it fit your macros? All right, so calories in versus calories out. Then it switched to vegan, vegetarian. Now we're sort of seeing a resurgence, almost very similar to Atkins, all right, and now it's known as keto, all right, and if you really want to break it up, we saw a big, introduction to intermittent fasting over the last few years. Intermittent fasting, paleo diet. So let's really talk about, is keto the best diet to lose weight, all right? So is it the best diet to lose weight? That's what we're going to talk. But again, let's go over what keto diet is. All right, so what is the keto diet? Well, basically, again, I'm going to keep it very, very simple. All right, the keto diet, or that's short for ketogenic diet, is a diet that's super low in carbs, very low in carbohydrates, all right, and high in protein and fat. So basically what you're doing is, all right, a lot of the times, all right, a lot of people are already eating fairly low in protein. So a lot of the times they have to bump up the protein intake, but a lot of the times people are replacing the carbohydrates for fat. All right, and it doesn't really matter to some people. It can be healthy fats, it can be unhealthy fats, your saturated trans fats. They're just increasing their calories because they're taking carbohydrates almost totally out of the picture and they're supplementing it with fat intake. So that's how they're getting their calories. All right, so basically, what is the ketogenic diet? All right, low carb, high fat, moderate to high protein. All right, now some people, again, like I said, there's variations to the ketogenic diet, the keto diet. I'm just going to call it the keto diet for short. There is variations. All right, some people will go a little bit higher in protein and a little bit more moderate to high in fat intake. Again, that's dependent on the person, what they enjoy, what gains and stuff they're trying to get out of the diet. All right, especially if they're trying to keep calories lower, all right, if they want to be in a deficit, all right, because the more fat you intake, the more fat you eat, all right, the higher your calories are generally going to be, because calories in versus calories out. Protein has 4 calories per gram. Fat has more than double. It's 9 calories per gram. Okay. So, there has been studies, and a lot of people will jump to the ketogenic diet, the keto diet, because we've heard a lot of studies and we're seeing all these videos on how it can help with weight loss. So that's why I want to tie it in to weight loss here specifically. All right, so a lot of people will sort of jump onto the keto diet because of its correlation with weight loss. So there's some studies that have come out, all right, and show that there is some correlation between ketogenic diets and weight loss. But again, does that make it the best? Does that mean we have to get on keto if we want to lose weight? We're going to discuss that, all right? So the whole point when you're on a ketogenic diet, the whole point is to make sure that you're in ketosis, all right? That's a metabolic state, and the metabolic state is called ketosis. That's what happens when you reduce carbs to pretty much almost nothing, all right? It's not zero, but it's fairly close. And again, that just depends on what type of ketogenic diet you're sort of following. Again, remember we said that there's variations to the diet, and we'll get into a couple of them. I might throw 3 of them out there. There might be possibly even more. All right, but I've talked a lot about this with clients and during my consultations. But I'm going to stick to 3 because I want to keep it simple for you guys. All right, so basically the whole point, and I've talked about this in live streams when it comes to the keto diet, you want to get into the metabolic state of ketosis. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, first, you have to eat very low carbohydrates to get into ketosis. But the reason why you want to get into ketosis is because then your body starts burning fat as energy. All right, so that's why people are sort of jumping on these bandwagons, all right, or maybe not even the bandwagon, all right, but jumping into the diet, sort of getting into the world of keto, because there has been some studies that instead of, burning calories more, we start to burn fat, all right, body fat in particular, and using that as energy, okay, because we're lower in carbohydrates. And so you're replacing those carbohydrates with protein and fat. That way we can get into ketosis. That way, remember, ketosis is a metabolic state. Once we're in that metabolic state, that's when our body is going to start burning fat, using fat, so body fat again, as energy. So that's the whole point. That's why ketogenic diet is very, very popular right now, because people want to get on it, and the most people who do want to get on it because they want to lose weight. That's the whole point of it. Now, again, there's tons of variations to it. So if you're thinking about ketogenic, all right, and if you're on keto right now, let me know in chat. I would love to hear from it, love to see how you guys are doing with it and what type of ketogenic diet you're on. All right, because again, it's going to switch from person to person. All right, now, most people who follow a ketogenic diet, okay, what you're doing is a lot of the time it's very high in fat. All right, and I'm talking about over 50% of your calories are coming from fat sources. Okay. Usually any variation of ketogenic diets, most people are getting 50% or over when it comes to fat intake. So as you guys can see, it's a lot of fat. All right, a lot of the calories are coming from fat. So sometimes you might get somewhere upwards of like 65, 70, 75%. Let's just call 70. All right, so I can do the math a little bit easier here. So 70% fat, all right, anywhere from 15 to 20% of protein, all right, and then less, all right, at max, maybe 10% of carbohydrates. A lot of the time, it's even less. And the reason why it has to be less is because you want to get in that metabolic state of ketosis. If you want to maximize the fat-burning properties or the fat-burning abilities of the ketogenic diet, you're going to want to be under 10% as a maximum. Right now, what a lot of people will do, And, I don't know, if you're on the ketogenic diet, you're going to want to weigh the benefits of this. What some people will do is they'll have, 6 days following this strict, so probably like 60% to 70% fat, 20 to 30% protein, and again, 10% carbohydrates. The carbs is what generally stays the same, guys. So a lot of the times you can sort of vary your fat and your protein intake, right? Maybe you go 60% fat, 30% protein, and 10% carbs, or 70% fat and 20% protein, 10% carbs. Notice the protein and the fat are varying, but the carbs is going to stay low. All right. Now, sometimes people will do sort of like a refeed day, what's known as a refeed day, maybe a cheat meal day. And on these cheat meal days or refeed days, whatever you want to call them, 1 time a week, at max 2 times a week. I wouldn't necessarily buy this, as my own opinion. All right. If you're refeeding every 5 days, all right, it's going to be very hard for you to stay in ketosis because you're going to be adding carbs on that refeed. As soon as you add those carbs, all right, over 10%, sometimes people are going 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50% carbs on those days, just refeeding. You're taking yourself right out of ketosis, and you're not going to instantly get into ketosis the next day when you go back on a ketogenic diet. It's going to take a couple days, all right, maybe even longer. Sometimes it can take a week and a half to get into that state of ketosis. So think about it. If you're doing refeeds every 5 days, all right, that's 2 days in the week where you're adding carbohydrates, taking you right out of that metabolic state of ketosis. So a lot of the times, you're not even getting those fat burning effects of being on a keto diet. So think about if you're going to do that, guys. If you're thinking about getting on a keto diet for weight loss, think about staying in that metabolic state of ketosis and think of how much you actually want to do refeeds. That's why I think the keto diet can be hard for most people, because they have to stay in that ketosis state. If you're not going to be using fat as energy as often. All right. That's a lot of carbs still during the week. That's, a cheat meal is basically in every diet. So when it comes to keto, you got to be a little bit more strict. So keep that in mind. Especially, again, if I was going to do a keto diet, or I would recommend it to someone, I would probably do 6 days where you're in full ketosis, and then maybe a cheat meal, not a cheat refeed day. All right, because again, that's just going to take you right out of ketosis, guys. So think about that. Now, another one more that I'll give you, all right, is just quite simply, all right, a high protein variation of the keto diet. A lot of people who work out, all right, so who are doing resistance training, a lot of people even, as Thompson said here in chat, if athletes and things of that nature, a lot of athletes will sort of follow this high protein, all right, because they don't want to lose muscle mass, all right, or they don't want to, feel lethargic with all the extra fat that's going in. So a lot of them will switch to that variation of high protein. Okay, and so when you go to high protein, that might be somewhere up towards like 40% of your total calories are actually coming from protein. Right, and then it would be like 55% fat and then 5 to 10% carbs. A lot of the times, though, guys, don't forget, in all of these variations, even if you're doing sort of those refeed days, on the non-refeed days, you're going to probably be around 5% carbohydrates. 5 to 10% carbohydrates, 10% as a maximum. If you're going over 10%, you most likely are going to take yourself out of ketosis. All right, so again, let me know in chat if anyone here is following a keto diet. All right, I like when Thompson said that he does track and field. I'm always interested if athletes are following a keto diet, because for them, they're going to want energy. And a variation is some people will allow themselves to eat carbohydrates, usually complex carbohydrates, around their workouts to actually act as fuel. All right, so that's why keto can be a little bit tough if you're working out or if you're an athlete, because those carbohydrates act as fuel. Yes, you'll burn body fat, or your body is gonna, as they say, when you're in ketosis, all right, you'll start using body fat as energy. But again, if you're not fueling yourself with usually carbohydrates as fuel, those workouts can be fairly tough. All right, especially if you're doing high intensity training. All right, so that's the keto diet, guys. Very low carbs, high fat, moderate to high protein. All right, and the reason why you do that is because you want to get in the metabolic state of ketosis, as I mentioned in live streams. All right, before you want to get into ketosis because it's when we're in ketosis, that is when your body is going to start burning fat and using fat as fuel. So body fat. Anarchy, that's awesome. Okay, so you're on the keto diet. How many carbs a day? Are you doing the sort of standard keto diet where it's, you're never having refeed days or anything like that? You're sort of sticking to the low carbs on a daily basis. And how many carbs are you eating per day? Just interested in hearing that. So thank you for letting me know that you're on it. Now, what are some foods that people who follow? We're going to get right into the question here in a second. Is keto the best diet to lose weight? All right, and again, very interesting. So we see why I would connect the two is because most people who are on keto, all right, if you're following a ketogenic diet, a lot of the people who are following that, I would say like 80% to 90%, all right, 90% are doing it for weight loss. Anarchy, if you are, let me know. I'd be very interested to hear that. And as you see, Anarchy, all right, is having 0 carbs. So as I said, a lot of times they'll recommend being in 5 to 10% of carbohydrates, but even 10%, because you got to watch the vegetables that you're eating too. If it's a high carbohydrate vegetable, that can take you out of ketosis as well. I'm telling you guys, if you want to stay in ketosis, what the literature is saying, what the studies are showing is you have to have as little carbs as possible. So as we see, and as I've said, all right, your carbohydrates is going to be very, very low. And as Anarchy is showing here, he has 0 carbohydrates in his diet. It's all fat. It's all protein. All right, so thank you, Anarchy. That's awesome. All right, thank you for letting me know, because I said, and sort of as you're showing now, carbs have to stay super, super low. And you're replacing the carbohydrates with a good portion of fat. A lot of that replacement is fat, and then, the rest is protein. You fill in the gaps from there. Okay, so let's talk about some of the foods. Now that we know what the ketogenic diet is, what the keto diet is, all right, and Anarchy, let me know if you're trying to lose weight. All right, if you're trying to lose weight on it. So veggies, spinach, oranges. Okay, so if you're eating oranges, Anarchy, you are getting a little bit of carbohydrates. Just keep that in mind, okay? Because oranges are a carbohydrate source. Even if you're having limes, they're going to add a little bit of carbohydrates to your diet. So just keep that in mind, okay? But the rest, is all pretty much veggies, no carbohydrates hardly in any of those. Very low, very high fiber. All right. And then meat, of course, is going to be your standard. What's your protein? What's your fat sources, Anarchy? Stacy, thank you. Yes, a lot of people will do it for that as well. All right. So what the keto diet, why a lot of people are doing keto diet is there has been studies. So thank you, Stacy, for that comment. They've seen through multiple studies where people who are on ketogenic diets, can see a huge, so not huge, but let's say significant. I like that word. Significant reduction in insulin levels and blood sugar. Okay, so metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance in check. So there you go. Exactly. All right, because we've seen studies, all right, by getting on keto diet, all right, it can cause significant reduction in insulin levels and blood sugar. So connected right to metabolic syndrome there, and again, keeping insulin resistance in check. Awesome. And weight loss, maybe a byproduct, but keeping, yep, exactly. So that's one of them. All right, so weight loss enough, and if not weight loss, again, keeping blood sugar and insulin levels, all right, in check. Stacy brings up a good point. And the way that you're doing that is because, again, if you're eating those carbohydrates, especially simple carbs, you're going to have a spike in blood sugar. All right. And when we have a spike in blood sugar, that's going to help create more insulin being produced. All right. An insulin response. Okay. So that's awesome. Thank you, Stacy, for pointing that out. So again, a lot of people will get on keto to keep blood sugar levels low and to help prevent spikes in insulin levels. Lifesaver, I'd like to keep my yeah, absolutely. And weight loss may be the byproduct. So there you go. Exactly. Doing 30 grams of carbs a day. Yep, that sounds about right. All right, probably maybe around, 5-10% Stacy, I'm guessing. If you're having 30 carbs, 30 carbs is fairly low. Also, I eat almonds, avocados, and pistachios. Yep, those are all good, healthy fats. Avocados is always recommended pretty much on a keto diet, guys. We're going to get into some of the foods. That's why I like focusing on this here for a second. Almonds, you guys have heard me sing the praises of almonds like crazy. Again, if I was going to add one nut or seed, it would probably be almonds to my diet, so it's good anarchy. Almonds, avocados, again, very nice on a ketogenic diet. You're going to see that probably almost in everyone's, unless they're not a fan of avocados. And pistachios are just fine too. And we've seen pistachios, their ability to help with blood pressure, with heart health, even moderate metabolic syndrome. All right, prevent blood sugar spikes, insulin spikes. Oh, wow. Okay, so I will drop the amount of those fruits. Yes, anarchy, especially in relation. All right, in relation, you can have them. Don't forget, a lot of people will have 10%. Okay, but if you're saying you're on 0 carbs, all right, just know that if you're having limes and oranges, my friend, all right, you are going to be having some carbohydrates. Okay, now as you see, Stacy, she's having 30 grams of carbs per day, so she's probably very low in carbohydrates. All right, so you can have those. A lot of people won't take it out completely. All right, it's very hard to eat 0 carbohydrates in a day, I'll tell you that. All right, so you can keep them in there. All right, green apples is fine. Even the oranges is fine. It's funny you say that. I did a video. I just put one up on oranges. All right, so we just had that up before I got onto the live stream. Green apples is fine. You're going to have good fiber in both of those too. All right, so that's going to help prevent blood sugar spikes, as Stacy's sort of bringing up here. Blood sugar spikes, insulin creation, insulin response, because you got good fiber in like apples, oranges, things like that. You just need to keep it in moderation, or you won't get into ketosis. All right, it has to be somewhere in that 10% or lower category. Trying to drop your fat levels, weigh 270. Anarchy, you are the perfect. You're saying everything right, exactly. All right, so a lot of people, so we have Stacy and we have Anarchy. I hope you guys don't mind me using you guys as examples, but 2 perfect examples of the keto diet for weight loss, but the keto diet also to help keep blood sugar and insulin levels reduced or regulated. A lot of people will regulate their blood sugar levels or, reduce blood sugar and insulin levels, along sort of with increased ketones as well. All right. So we have 2 perfect examples. All right. So that's awesome. All right. You're trying to drop fat levels. All right. Drop 50 pounds. Exactly. Okay. So we see that in a good majority of the people who are on. And thank you so much for the thumbs up, guys. We just hit 10 thumbs up. Thank you so much, guys. So a lot of people will get on the keto diet for fat loss, for weight loss. So that's why, again, I'm tying it into, is it the best diet to lose weight? All right, and we're going to get into that here in probably the next few minutes, very, very soon. And then we also see Stacy for the other side of it as well, not trying to necessarily lose weight, but trying to keep metabolic syndrome and insulin resistance in check. And we can, what the studies show is that a keto diet has the potential to keep blood sugar levels, because we won't always see it, but it has the potential to keep blood sugar levels, all right, reduce blood sugar levels and reduce insulin levels as well. Reduce blood sugar and reduce insulin, all right, and significant reduction in that. So 2 great examples of why people would get on a keto diet. Again, largely you're going to see people do it because they want to lose weight, lose body fat. Exactly. Rupal, you're right. So again, with that regulation of blood sugar and insulin levels. All right. So type 2 diabetes, of course, they would see, benefits of being on this diet. Oh, pro wrestler. Very interesting, Anarchy. That's awesome. Good for you. So again, athlete, trying to cut down a little bit. That's awesome. Long time, 21 years. Good for you. So let's talk about some of the foods. All right, what are some of the foods that you're going to see? Well, the big one, obviously, is going to be some sort of meat. All right, meat variation. All right. a lot of times chicken breast, a lot of the times lean ground beef, things of that nature, bacon, eggs, all right, everything that's all protein and all fats. And again, not necessarily the most healthiest fats, but eggs, of course, are going to be healthy fats and protein. All right. Chicken breast isn't going to have much fat in it, but it's going to have protein. Lean ground beef or ground beef, all right, steaks, depending on what kind you get, is going to have a good portion of fat and also protein. It's all fat and all protein. All right. And then again, a lot of people will put bacon into it too because, not the healthiest fat, but it's very high fat, moderate protein, no carbohydrates. So those are the types of things you're going to see. You're going to see a lot of meats, as sort of Anarchy pointed out. You're going to see low carb veggies. That's something that I want to point out here, guys. So non-starchy vegetables. Okay, so a lot of dark leafy green vegetables, a lot of times, things like Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, kale, as Anarchy sort of mentioned, spinach, things of that nature. Things that are low in carbs, all right? Because you have to keep carbohydrates in check, especially if you're trying to keep those carbohydrates at bay, because you want to stay in ketosis. You even have to watch your vegetable intake. Love the picture you use. Well, thank you, Rupal. So exactly, that's why I like it too. I have it up on my screen. It's kind of nice backdrop with all these healthy foods, different colors. I always say try to get as much color in your diet as you can. So thank you, Rupal. Lots of celery, exactly, high in fiber, very low in calories, good in micronutrients. All right, so excellent choice, Anarchy. Going to be low in carbohydrates. All right, so you'll see that type of stuff, guys. Cruciferous vegetables. We've talked about all of these types of vegetables before. All right, why? Because they're very low in carbohydrates. All right, if you're having things like beets, all right, things like beets, that's a good example. All the time I sing the praises of beets just with their antioxidants, their healthy nitrates, all their other micronutrients, their ability, to promote our health in a number of different ways, heart health, digestive health, even blood health. But beets are going to be one that's tough to add because you're getting so much carbohydrates out of beets. So it's hard to stay in that 10%. Of course, sweet potatoes and things like that, you're probably not going to have that if you're trying to stay in ketosis. It gives me ideas about what to cook. Yeah, exactly. That's great, Rupal. That's another nice thing about it too, is there's so many veggies in there. You guys can sort of take a look and then add certain things. I know, like right now, whenever I look at it, I always look at like the eggplant. That's one that I've sort of added a little bit, even the green beans and things like that. More green beans and beets. But those are the types of veggies that you're having, okay? Spinach, eggplant's good, even green beans. That's why I'm sort of bringing them up right now. Cucumber, as Anarchy said, you'll see that. Asparagus, those are all great ones. All right. So I think Anarchy asked about cheese. All right. So if you're on the keto diet, a lot of the times as well, you will see cheese being consumed. Cheese is absolutely just fine for a keto diet. Why? Because it's high in fat, all right, and it's higher in protein. All right, it's all fat and it's all protein. Very little carbs, especially if you're having the higher fat. Okay, so again, in that instance, a lot of times you'll see like 36% milk fat, like MF, you'll see on the label of cheese. Why? Because if you go to skim, you're going to be getting milk sugars, all right, and you're going to be adding carbohydrates to your diet. So a lot of times you'll just have high fat cheese. Okay, so cheese is just fine, but it actually has to be high fat. So you're going to be adding saturated fat by doing that. But again, that's the whole point of the keto diet. High fat intake, protein intake, zero carbs. Is cheese considered... Okay, sorry, I'm missing a couple. That's good, guys. You ask your questions. Ask away. I'd say 9 out of 10 of my dishes include garlic. Wow, Rupal, that's awesome. Garlic, I love. You hear me sing the praises of garlic a lot in a lot of our live streams. Kiwis are fine. Kiwis are good, but again, you have to keep it in moderation, Anarchy. Kiwis in moderation can be fine as a fruit source. All right. It can be high in sugar. All right. But it's very high in fiber as well. All right, so it will sort of prevent that blood sugar spike, insulin spike. You just have to literally keep it in moderation, like 1 kiwi. You can't go over that, because if you do, you're going to get too many carbohydrates. You won't be able to limit. So I would even limit the amount of kiwi you're eating, Anarchy. All right, is cheese considered a good fat? That's a good question, Rupal. It's a good fat if you're on the keto diet, but would I classify it? And again, this is my opinion. Would I classify cheese, so again, the high-fat cheese, as a good fat? No, I would not. Why? Because it's high in saturated, and it's even higher in trans fat. It's not a healthy fat. You're not getting monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, any omega-3s from cheese. It's all pretty much all saturated and trans fats. So I would not consider cheese to be a good fat, but it would be, let's keep it on today's topic, it's a fine food choice if you're on a keto diet. But would I consider cheese to be a good fat? I wouldn't put it there, because I'd consider almonds, pumpkin seeds, things of that nature. All right, all of those nuts, seeds, avocados, things like that, they're going to be considered a good fat. All right. So again, cheeses, and Rupal's right. There's a bunch of cheese that you can add to it. All right, I like eggs. A lot of people will add eggs sort of in the morning to their diet, because again, it's all fat, all protein. All right. So a lot of the times you'll see eggs, you'll see olive oil, you'll see nuts and seeds. Nuts and seeds are a good one. All right. This is where I'd like to see a lot of the fat coming from, but again, all right, a lot of people aren't too picky when they're on a keto diet. Good morning, Rob. Welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for joining us today. Great to have you here. So again, nuts and seeds, a lot of them are just fine. All right. Again, almonds are just fine. You know, you'll see pecans usually consumed. Even pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds, things of that nature, sort of lower carbs. Even macadamia nuts, because they're lower in carbs when compared to, say, like cashews. All right, cashews are a little bit higher in carbohydrates, so a lot of people will go for like Brazil nuts, pecans, walnuts, almonds, things of that nature, just because they want to watch their carb intake. Even pumpkin seeds, sesame seeds. Yes, there's not a lot in them, you know, but there is some carbohydrates, and if you're on a keto diet, you got to track all of that stuff, guys. You got to make sure that those carbs are super low, super low. All right, let me catch up. Any sauces are good. Anarchy, great question. It's got to be a low calorie, low carb sauce, my friend. Low calorie, low carb. Sauces is one of the big ones that's going to usually take people out of ketosis. Let's talk about that. You're going to be eating a lot of meat. All right. So a lot of people will want like barbecue sauce, things of that. Even ketchup. I have clients who will put ketchup on a steak. If you're having that, unless it's low calorie, low sugar, all right, low carb, all right, there's a lot of sugar in ketchup. There's a lot of sugar that's in sauces like barbecue sauce, things of that nature. And again, it's going to be a simple carb because it's sugar. So you got to be careful with sauces. A lot of people will overdo it with sauces, add it into their diet if they're on a keto diet, but those sauces are actually going to take you out of ketosis. All right? Now, it might not be the sauces just in general, but when you start adding them maybe with some fruit that you had, other things like even veggies, again, you have to keep that carbohydrate content so low that, you know, we even have to watch the sauces. Stacy, it's helpful to be... Oh, yeah, absolutely. You can plan meals accordingly. You have to know if you want to be Also, I think you have to know if you want to be a traditionalist keto or a vegan keto person. Yes, absolutely, Stacy. And as we talked about it at the beginning, there's different variations to being on keto. You know, just like there's like the standard keto, as you're calling it, the traditionalist keto, ketogenic diet, or a vegan keto. All right. And again, that's a vegan keto is going to obviously have a much different looking diet. of course, than someone who's following a standard keto. You take out the meat, all right? You take out, a lot of stuff that someone who's on a standard keto diet is going to be having. And don't worry, that's not off topic at all, Stacy. I think it's a good point. So for a vegan keto person, again, it can be quite tough. It can be quite tough to stay in ketosis. I personally haven't worked with any vegans who were on the keto diet. I'm just trying to think, how they're going to stay in ketosis. I can think of a few ways. But again, it might be a little bit tougher because you're taking out those meats. You can easily get healthy fats. All right. But they're probably going to be very high fat, sort of lower protein, and then sort of that 10%, maybe 10% carbohydrates. But you're absolutely right. Depending on what type of diet there is, again, you're going to work out a different variation of ketogenic diet for yourself. You can make creative sauces out of nuts. Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point, Stacy. So again, just like I'm saying, you can't have that regular ketchup. You can't have that regular barbecue sauce. All right, that's just packed with sugars, because again, that's just going to increase your carbs and do it fast. All right, that takes 1 tablespoon, I think, of ketchup to add 4 to 5 grams of sugar. So that's going to add up. It's like 2 tablespoons for most barbecue sauces, and you're adding like 13 grams of sugar, 14 grams of sugar. That's a lot. That doesn't take a lot when it comes to your carb intake during the day. If you have 2 tablespoons of ketchup and 2 tablespoons of barbecue sauce, you just added 20 to 25 grams of basically sugar to your diet. Thanks. This all fruits and vegetables. Hey, no problem, Harinder. My pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me in chat today. My pleasure. Fresh avocados yesterday. Reduce. Oh, nice. Do you put them in a dark place? I put them in a paper bag, Rupal. That's in a darker place. It's not necessarily in like a cupboard or anything. Sometimes I will put them in a cupboard, but I usually have them sort of away from sunlight and in a paper bag, a brown paper bag. So excellent question. And again, that's going to keep them and they're usually always fresh by the time I get to them. Like sometimes when I take the peel off, I'm actually surprised how just ripe and how good it looks. You almost just want to grab a piece and eat it right there. But exactly right. That's what I do. I'll put them in a paper bag and then sort of keep them in a dark place. Not always a cupboard, but away from sunlight, natural sunlight. And thank you for the thumbs up, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the engagement. So I think we got a good source of sort of what's on a ketogenic diet, guys. A lot of people will have butter and that high fat dairy. Again, it could be cream. All right, super high though. It's going to be high fat. Why? Because the lower the fat when it comes to dairy, and again, my pleasure, Rupal. When it comes to dairy, the lower the fat. So if you're drinking like 2% milk or skim milk, definitely skim milk, 1% milk, you're getting more and more carbohydrates. So you want to keep it high fat. That's the whole point of the keto diet. So everything that I was sort of saying with, try to keep it to healthy fats. That's why I'm saying if you're on a keto diet, you're not worrying about that as much. Because if you're having dairy products, if you're having, it doesn't even matter if it's dairy, but like if it's meat sources, it's going to be higher fat. Because the higher the fat, the lower the carbs, especially with dairy. Okay, so keep that in mind as well, guys. So I think we got a good idea of what's on a ketogenic diet. If there's any questions, some people will add berries. Berries, I think it's tough even if you're still having berries, guys. You would really have to keep them in moderation. All right, like I sing the praises of blueberries and strawberries, but again, if you're eating too many of those, you're just getting too many carbs in. All right, so again, even with berries, be careful. Like Stacy said, you almost have to become what did you say? A macro detective. Exactly. Macro detective. So your macronutrients. All right. So remember, your macronutrients are protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Some people will add fiber in there, but you almost have to be a detective. You have to pretty much look at the labels for everything. All right. Because again, you have to keep, I keep reiterating it because sometimes people will do the refeed. Will do the, I'll go 20% carbohydrates or 25% and the rest fats and protein. You just can't do that if you want the benefits of keto. All right. Because you need to be in ketosis, and you're only going to do that if you're, eating a very low carbohydrate diet. And again, low in sugars, all right, because the sugars are going to spike blood sugar and insulin. And that's exactly what Stacy is doing. All right, she's keeping it low because she wants to prevent, all right, or even, I don't know if prevent or reduce, all right, significantly reduce blood sugar levels and insulin responses. And you're not going to be able to do that if you're eating high carbs. It's just going to take you right out of ketosis, and you're not going to be using body fat as fuel. Or fat as fuel, all right? Fat sources as fuel in there, guys. Green grapes, anarchy, if I was, take this all as my own personal opinion, guys, all right? It's not a medical practitioner or anything like that, but I've had tons of discussions on keto diets with a lot of clients. I would stay away from green grapes, all right? And the reason why I would stay away from that is because they do have a lot of fruit sugar. All right, so they're high in fructose, they're high in glucose, and then the higher the fructose and glucose is, the more sucralose that's going to be created. And when you create sucralose or consume sucralose, once that's consumed, guess what response you're going to have? Guess what's going to increase? Insulin response. Okay, and once you get that insulin, and to do that, blood sugar goes up. All right, so blood sugar levels go up. Once you do that, you're taking yourself right out of ketosis. If you're going to have green grapes, anarchy, maybe like once or twice a week, but very moderate, very low, maybe once a week. Raspberries are a little bit better than green grapes, Rob. But again, you just have to keep them in moderation, my friend. All right, they're a little higher in fiber, so that's going to help prevent blood sugar spikes and insulin spikes. But again, we're watching out for the carbs as well. All right, so they might be a little bit higher in fiber, lower in sugar than, say, green grapes, but we also have to look at the carbs. How many carbs are going to be in there? How much are we eating? So again, that's the only reason why. I know I'm being super picky, but on a keto diet, you have to be. Like Stacy said, you have to be almost like a macronutrient detective. That's why it's hard for a lot of people to stay on keto. So again, raspberries are fine. You just have to have them in moderation, very, very low, because you need to keep the carbs in moderation. Dried fruits, Rupal. Dried fruits, again, I would never recommend them on a keto diet because when they're like dried fruits, excuse me, dried fruits are going to be high in carbohydrates, generally high in sugar as well. Apricots, super high in sugar. Let me search dried apricots nutrition, just so I can make my point here. Okay, so if we had 100 grams, guys, 100 grams of dried apricots, that's not even a cup. Okay, so less than 1 cup of dried apricots. Okay, because I don't want to just keep saying no. This is why I'm saying dried apricots, Rupal, or anyone else that's listening. All right, and when I repost this, I know people are going to be listening. But I would never, and the reason why I said I would never have dried fruit on there is because of the carbohydrate intake. So 100 grams of dried apricots, I just looked it up. All right, you're getting almost 250 calories. All right, 250 calories, but basically no fat, basically no protein. All right, of that 250 calories is 63 grams of carbohydrates and 53 grams of sugar. So if you're eating that, you're basically not going to be in ketosis. It's just going to take you right out. It's the exact opposite of the food that you want to eat, Rupal, because it has basically no fat, basically no protein, and it's all carbohydrates. So great question, my friend. All right, if you want to be on, you can eat them. If you're not on keto, eat them in moderation. But just know, if you're on a keto diet, dried fruits are pretty much out of the question because it's just going to take you out of ketosis. Okay, so just be careful with that. I would, again, never recommend them. Beetroot, but my weight is not reduced, but I will do. I'm taking smoothies, carrots, orange, dates, apples. Again, yep, just be careful with, again, Harinder, just the calories if you're trying to lose weight. If you haven't reduced weight, again, it's just calories in versus calories out. You're just eating too many calories. But again, if you want to stay on a keto diet specifically, again, I'm guessing maybe, Harinder, you're not on a keto diet, because if you're having oranges, dates, apples, carrots, a lot of people on a keto diet won't even eat carrots because they're high in sugar, and beetroot. That's a lot of carbohydrates. It's, again, low fat, low protein, all carbs. Again, that's going to keep you out of ketosis. You're not going to be using fat as fuel. All right. Let's continue. I'll answer your guys' questions just because, see, this is why it's nice when you come into the live streams. I can answer your questions right off the bat. With tomatoes, they're fine. Tomatoes are fine, Anarchy. Again, in moderation, okay? But they're very low in carbohydrates. Again, if you're not overdoing it, all right? So, I'm not exactly sure what the total amount of carbs in. Just like I'm not gonna search it like I did dried apricots, just because I know tomatoes are gonna be fairly a good choice for you. But again, that, just keep in mind the tomato is going to be a carb source. Okay, it's not a lot. All right, it's not a lot of calories, but just know it's not going to give you any fat or any protein. It's going to be a carb source. When you dehydrate fruits, you especially concentrate the fruit sugars in fruits. Like, yeah, exactly, Stacy. Susan, welcome. Great to see you in there. All right, thank you so much for joining us again. What about dates? Okay, I know dates. All right, I already commented with Harinder. All right. But dates, very, very popular. But keto friendly, I would say definitely no, Susan. Okay, dates. Why? Because again, just like dried apricots, they're going to be very, very high in sugar content, in carbohydrates. So we just need to look out for them. They're even more, to be honest, I think, than dried. Let me look it up. Dried apricots. Dates are going to be one of your foods that you're going to want to stay away from. Raisins, guys, things like raisins. A lot of people will have raisins and things like that, but you got to stay away from it if you're on a keto diet. Okay, so here we go. So 100 grams, that's only 3.5 ounces, all right, of dates, guys. 75 grams of carbs. That's so much. Wow, I didn't think it was that high. I knew it was worse probably than the dried apricots, but yeah, a lot of carbohydrates, decent fiber, but if you're eating 75 grams of carbs, with a lot of that coming from sugar, all right, again, that's just going to take you out of keto, guys. All right, so great question, Susan. I would, if you're on keto, again, you might need to keep dates on like a refeed day if that's what you so choose to do. If you're doing a variation where you have a refeed day of carbohydrates, I would keep the dates for that time, just because, again, so high in carbohydrates. Yes, that's interesting, RuPaul. Again, yeah, it's an interesting, because it's so popular now. It's good just to know, exactly what it is, what foods fit into it. Yeah, exactly. You're going to, and that's just fine, RuPaul. You can't have, like I said, we have to be realistic with our diet choices. Of course, we're going to have something every now and then that's not exactly the perfect food or the healthiest food. All right. Again, just be realistic. Every now and then, if you have something, it's not going to be the worst thing. Oh, nice, Susan. So yeah, again, so with the dates, good minerals. All right, so if you're kind of if you're maintaining weight, you're not on keto, you want an all-balanced diet, I would keep the dates in moderation, and you're getting decent micronutrients in dates. All right. Now, again, a lot of people will come back to me and say, well, the sugar, all right, or dates is a complex carb. Isn't it healthy? All right, again, it doesn't matter. You have to keep the carbohydrates low, guys. Okay, it doesn't matter. All right. Again, it's got to have sugar in it as well. As Stacy sort of pointed out, you're going to see it with dried fruits. all right, you're going to see a lot of fruit sugars, all right, a lot of fructose, a lot of glucose, which again is going to create a spike in blood sugar and a spike in insulin levels. Okay, so great question. Lost 40 pounds. Good for you, Susan. You've been able to maintain that for 2 years. Perfect. So you probably did exactly what I recommend to most people. Choose a diet that you can maintain the rest of your life. All right. So obviously, you picked a diet that's right for you because you've lost that weight and you've been able to maintain it. So good for you, Susan. Congratulations. And Harinder, my pleasure. And thank you, guys. 15 thumbs up. Halfway to our goal. Thank you so much, guys. I really do appreciate it. Okay, so if there's any other questions, I think let me know, all right, some of the foods that you guys want. And I know other people are going to find this helpful as well. One other thing I will mention is usually if you're on a keto diet, all right, some people will follow this, some won't, but a lot of people will make sure that their fiber intake is high. Why? Again, because sort of what Stacy had mentioned before, they will want to limit blood sugar spikes and insulin level spikes. All right, so insulin spikes, sorry. All right, increasing their insulin levels. So a lot of people will sort of focus on fiber as well. That's why I said cruciferous vegetables before. Things that are low in net carbs or carbohydrates but are high in fiber, especially when it comes to veggies. All right, keeping that fiber high, preventing blood sugar spikes, things of that nature. So a lot of people will even focus on fiber. So it's like I keep saying healthy fats, but I got almost switched my mind up here because healthy fats isn't the most important thing for people on keto. All right, it's fats in general. Not always worrying about healthy fats, like we've mentioned we had a whole live stream on healthy fats, but fat, very large portion coming from fat, all right, moderate to high level coming from protein, and almost zero coming from carbohydrates. That is your keto diet. And again, why? Because as we mentioned right off the top, you want to get into the metabolic state of ketosis so that you start burning fat as an energy source. All right, instead of your carbs and things of that nature. All right, if anyone has any other questions as to what foods work on a keto and things of that nature. Oh, no problem, Susan. Again, congratulations. That's excellent. Losing that much and being able to maintain it, that's the best case scenario. So congratulations. Seems like you did a perfect job. So let's talk a little bit about, is keto the best diet to lose weight? Now, this is where it becomes interesting, right? This is where a lot of people who are on keto will tell me, yes, I've seen great results on the keto diet. I've lost this amount of weight. I know, Susan, you said you weren't on it, but some people, will lose 40 pounds on a keto diet. There's been tons of, like I said, there's been studies. There's been a lot of hosts. I've had clients that have used the keto diet to lose weight, but I always will tell people, the best diet, and this is for Susan, Susan couldn't have mentioned this at a perfect time, right in our transition. All right, is keto the best diet to lose weight? Well, it is if you can maintain a keto diet. If you can maintain a keto diet, then, absolutely, it might not be the best, all right, but it's going to be a diet where you will lose weight. Now, let me switch it up here a little bit, guys. Is keto the best diet to lose weight? I'm going to say absolutely not. Okay? Now, again, is that saying that you won't lose weight or, that you can't maintain weight loss while on keto? Again, no. But we have to make sure that we make the distinction, the best diet, the best diet, or is it the best, or is it a diet that you can lose weight on? I think that's the distinction right there that I think of it. Okay? So is it the best? It depends, all right? And again, in my opinion, is no. And why? Because the best diet for you to lose weight is going to be the one that you can maintain, like Susan's doing, all right? It's the one that you're going to enjoy, the one that you can keep for the rest of your life. Why do I think keto diet might not be the best? And when I say that, it doesn't mean that I think keto is bad, all right? For a lot of people, it's great. For some people, it's not. All right. Can you give us a list of perfect foods? Okay, Anarchy. Yeah. I think the ones that I mentioned, I listed quite a bit. maybe go back and give a listen, but at the end I can go, I'll definitely go over some more foods, and which ones to stay away from. Basically, what are the perfect foods to eat on a keto diet? I'll sum it up very simply, for you, Anarchy. Things that are high in fat, high in protein, low in carbohydrates. If you're on a keto diet, that's the foods that you're going to be eating. What are the foods to ignore? Foods that are high in sugar and foods that are high in carbohydrates. All right, so if we're going to simplify, and I always love simplifying it, all right, you could get into the perfect foods or anything like that, things that are high in fat, moderate to high in protein, and almost next to no carbs, those are going to be the perfect foods for you. All right. The ones that are high in carbohydrates and high in sugars and simple carbohydrates especially, those are going to be the ones you're going to want to ignore. Okay, those are going to be the ones you're going to want to stay away from. Anything that's super high in carbohydrates, like the foods I just went over and searched, right? Those are going to be the ones for you. Okay, but we can go over and talk about that a little bit more towards the end. I have no problem doing that, Anarchy. We mentioned quite a few off the bat. So maybe, again, you can always re-listen to this because we mentioned a lot in like terms of nuts and seeds, cruciferous vegetables, different types of meats, olive oil, avocados, all of that type of stuff. I think I mentioned berries, nuts and seeds. There's just such a big umbrella under those. Okay. So again, is keto diet the best diet to lose weight? Again, that depends if you can stay on a keto diet. Is keto diet the best diet to lose weight? It is if you can stay in ketosis, all right? And you've tried everything else, and keto is working best for you, okay? Because again, keto only becomes the best, and again, I would argue there is no best diet to lose weight, okay? I would argue that there is no diet that's best to lose weight because at the end of the day, weight loss only comes from staying in a deficit of calories. All right, if you're in a surplus of calories, you're going to lose weight. If you're eating your maintenance calories, of course, you're going to stay the same weight like Susan's doing. She's maintaining. But if you're in a deficit amount of calories, then you're going to lose weight. It doesn't matter if you're eating vegan, all right, a vegan diet, or if you're eating keto on a keto diet, all right. That's going to be the best one for you is going to be the one that you're going to be able to maintain a calorie deficit on and then eventually maintain a calorie maintenance on. Now, does that mean keto isn't good? No, of course it doesn't. Keto is good if you can maintain it. All right, it's just very strict and it's very hard for people to maintain. Let me tell you this, guys. I'll just talk from personal experience. And again, this is my personal opinion. Some people might disagree, and that's fine. All right, that's why we have open dialogue and open discussion. But there's been tons of research out there that shows, again, when it comes to weight loss, all you're looking at is, are you in a calorie deficit? All right. Again, there's so many diets out there. There's so many diets that are going to work for people to lose weight. Intermittent fasting, we haven't even brought that up. That's a very popular one now. You can get weight loss benefits from any diet, whether eating a well-balanced diet, if it's 40% protein, 40% carbs, 20% fat. All right, you can maintain and lose weight on that diet. Like I said, if you're having 50 carbs, 30 protein, and 20% of fat, you can lose weight on that diet. All right, it doesn't matter what diet you are now doing. All right, it just depends if you're able to maintain it and able to maintain a calorie deficit to lose weight. Now, a lot of people can do that on a keto diet. All right, the thing that catches a lot of people's eye when it comes to keto is the fat burning. We start thinking of, if I get on keto, I'm going to start using fat as an energy source. That's really, really good. Obviously, that's good. That's going to give you good benefits of weight loss. All right. That's going to give you good benefits of maybe losing body fat. But can you stay on the keto diet? You guys have listed so many foods, which I feel like I'm saying, no, you can't eat that. No, you can't eat that. No, that's not going to work because it's too high in carbs and sugars. So as you guys can see, keto can be a little bit restrictive to some people. And to some people, it can be very restrictive. Like if I'm telling you guys, Keep green apples, keep kiwis, keep oranges in moderation. You have to be careful with eating healthy fruits. All right? Berries, for instance, like raspberries. If I'm telling you, be careful with how many raspberries you're consuming, of course, a lot of people are going to find that sticking to that diet really, really tough because in general, raspberries and strawberries, if we have a cup of that, those are things we don't necessarily always need to worry about because they're super high in antioxidants. They're low in calories. They just have a little bit of carbohydrates. But when it comes to keto, right, those carbohydrates, keeping track of how many we're eating becomes essential. It's the most important thing. Okay? It really is when you think about it. How many carbohydrates are you eating per day is predominantly the main thing that we're thinking about. All right, micronutrients might not be the most important thing. Macros might be. All right, I would argue that macros would be your most important because you might be getting all those micronutrients or, you might be devoid of some. But of course, if you're low in fats, lower in protein, and higher in carbs, your macronutrients, then of course you're not going to be on a keto diet because you're taking yourself on ketosis. The only way that you're truly following a keto diet is to get into that metabolic state of ketosis, guys. So again, is it the best? Well, it depends. Can you stay on it? Are you a person that enjoys the diet, that can stay in ketosis for long periods of time? All right. Let me just make sure I'm catching up on the chat here. Excuse me. Just thinking of fasting. Fasting is an interesting thing, Rupal. You don't necessarily want of intermittent fasting. All right. That's why that became so popular. I'm not sure how long your fast would be. Again, just be careful. Agreed. Diet isn't necessarily a tool we need to help us function. Is a necessary tool we need to help us function and repair. Exactly. Every diet has pros and cons. Was vegan prior to keto. Lost 30 pounds in 3 months. Yes, felt bad. Exactly, Stacy. So the diet is a necessary tool, all right? And you can use whatever diet you want to be that tool, all right? They work, all right? Just depends, all right? Stacy, vegan didn't work for you. Keto did, all right? And then, now you feel good on it. It's helping, with blood sugar levels, helping with insulin, all right? Lost weight, all that good stuff, all right? I eat like I'm on keto. Just watch my carbs, sugars, and fat. I'm not restricted. Exactly. And remember, if you're on a keto, Susan, you don't need to necessarily watch, it depends. If you're watching, saturated fat, trans fats, of course, that's going to be a good thing. But, watch your carbs, watch your sugars. If you don't feel restricted, that's great. If you can eat very low, if you can eat under 10% carbs day in and day out, all right, with very little refeeds, because again, I think the refeeds are just taking you out of ketosis. And if you're doing it twice a week, I don't know if you'll ever be in ketosis because again, you're not just instantly and magically going to be in ketosis within a day going into your next day. But again, some will feel restricted, some won't. Some, getting lower than 25% carbohydrates is very tough. I would say a majority of my clients, once you start getting under 20, or once you start getting to 25, they feel very restricted. If you like sweet potatoes, if you like whole grains, if you like oatmeal, you're not going to be eating those things. They're just too high in carbohydrates. And a lot of people are going to find it very tough to stick to that diet. But for Susan, it works. And for other people, it's going to work. Again, that's the whole point. And that's sort of the point I'm making. If it works for you, that's the best diet to lose weight on. Doesn't have to be keto. It can be keto or not. Diet will become a personalized medical help. Good health. Yeah, love this discussion. Always learn great things from your. Oh, thank you very much, Stacey. I appreciate it. I'm glad to hear that you're learning from the chats. That's the whole point. I love discussing with you guys as well. You guys are making it easy on me, with this engagement. You're leading me into the next point. So thank you very much. And like they say, food it can be medicine. Let me just make sure. Hey, Deborah. Just popping in, interesting topic. Great to have you in here. Thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate that. We're getting into sort of the interesting part here. Again, as I always say, guys, and I will probably continue to say, unless I find something different from working with clients or find some sort of literature or multiple studies. Again, you don't necessarily want to rely on one study. You got to look at everything taken as a whole. But if we're looking at the best diet to lose weight, I know keto is very popular right now, and a lot of people are losing weight on keto. But does that make keto the best diet to lose weight? No. I would argue the best diet to lose weight, and as some people have pointed out in here, the best diet to lose weight is the diet you can maintain, and this is the most important part, maintain a calorie deficit on. And a lot of people just can't do that on keto, and that's not to bash keto. A lot of people wouldn't be able to do that on a well-balanced diet. A lot of people can't do that on paleo, on the Mediterranean diet, on intermittent fasting. All right. So it's not just keto, it's really any diet. So that's why we have to look at the one that works best for you. All right. The one that works best for you and the one that you can maintain a calorie deficit on. All right. So say your maintenance calories is 2,250. If you're trying to lose weight, if you can maintain 2,000 calories a day, because again, that's a deficit, then that's going to be the right one for you. Right, that's going to be the best one for you. All right, and again, everyone's going to have different opinions, and that's why I want to kind of do this chat, is because I'm hearing from so many clients when we do consultations. I'll get a lot of comments, and I see a ton of videos and articles that are saying, in order to lose weight, keto's the best, or if you're trying to lose weight, you have to try keto. Again, I don't think you have to try keto or have to get on keto. Give it a try if you want, but it's definitely not, I would never classify one diet over the other as being the best. Like, let's think about it. We had some people who were in here as athletes. All right. Some people in here were telling me that they were athletes, track and field, worked out. All right. For those people, all right, keto is generally going to be a little bit tougher for them. All right. A lot of people don't necessarily, who are athletes getting high intensity workouts, keto generally is a lot tougher because for them, they're losing energy. All right. They find that their energy is zapped eating on a keto diet. Is that for everyone? No, of course not. But for a lot of people, and especially I've worked with a lot of people when it comes to training and things like that, again, they really feel low energy if they're staying on a keto diet. Once you're in ketosis, you might see a little bit of a bump, but even still, if you're going into a hard workout, right, being in ketosis might not necessarily be enough fuel for your body. Don't call it a diet, call it a life change. Yes, and as I always say, lifestyle change. All right, so what is the lifestyle? Just a way of life. It's a lifestyle change, exactly. A mindset change. You're exactly right. Okay? But again, if we're looking at it with as a definition of diet, again, when I say diet, a lot of people will think, diet is weight loss. I'm dieting to lose weight. I have to diet because I want to lose weight. All diet means is what you're eating. All right? So when I'm saying diet, all right, diet just means the type of foods that you're eating. But I know where you guys are coming from. Again, people are saying, because it's gotten such into the zeitgeist and into our way of thinking and into how we speak, a lot of people will think if I say diet or if someone else says diet, it means that they're trying to lose weight or that they're eating a diet that's low in calories. All right, diet just is referring to what we're eating. All right, the foods that we eat, what's in our diet, all right? What type of diet are we eating? So what foods in general are we having? But again, that's why I say the best diet is the one that you can make a lifestyle change on. The best way of eating, all right? The best foods, whatever you want to call it, is one that you can continually keep and have a lifestyle change on. Make lifestyle changes. Again, that can be for any type of diet. For a gym and sports center. Nice. The trainers, athletes, chicken and rice mostly all the time. Yeah. Well, a lot of people who work out, especially like trainers, athletes at a gym, things of that nature, you're going to see a lot of rice, like brown rice, a lot of chicken, a lot of veggies and things like that. A lot of people will do that. And again, do you have to do that if you're training or if you're trying to put on muscle? No, you can have a nice variation. Of course, that's going to work too. Now, you do want a little bit higher protein. You do want complex carbs. Again, is chicken and brown rice bad? Absolutely not. But you are going to want to keep some variation in the diet as well. I think that's important. And, as long as you're not feeling restricted, like Susan said, all right, then you can have more and more success. I think the more restricted that, your diet becomes, or the foods that you're eating becomes, I think the harder it becomes to lose weight. The harder it is to lose weight because you're not going to want to follow that diet. And you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to want to add foods in here. And then that's when you're usually going to turn to late night snacking and things of that nature, right? Because you want that dopamine rush. You want to feel good. A lot of people will feel zapped of energy on certain diets. I think it might have been Stacy who had said, vegan didn't work for her. She did not feel good doing vegan, right? And that can be tough. If you're not feeling good with the things that you're eating, of course, you're going to want to change the foods that you're eating. All right. And you're going to probably end up cheating a little bit more than a person who is enjoying what they're eating. Because if you're enjoying what you're eating, all right, it's easy to stick to that diet. I would argue that you're going to be able to make those lifestyle changes on a diet that you enjoy way easier than someone who's following a diet that they just don't enjoy. All right, and are trying to maybe follow a fad and are not making that mindset change. Mindset's an important one too, Stacy. All right, the way that you look at food, mindful eating, things of that nature, I really think that helps. With a lot of people, I get them to write down what they're eating. All right, that way, it's kind of making them more mindful of the foods that they're having day in and day out, especially if they're trying to lose weight. Okay, now, of course, there are going to be some benefits to keto to some people than other types of diets, especially if you're trying to keep, blood sugars low and insulin level low and things like that. Again, but if we're looking at just weight loss, all right, so weight loss in a bubble, is keto the best diet? Well, it's the best diet if it works for you and you can maintain the keto diet and you can maintain a calorie. And then if it not only works for you and you can maintain it, but you enjoy it. All right, you're enjoying, and it's something that just comes naturally to you. Okay, and you feel good on it. Like Stacy, you probably feel good with the keto diet because you're not changing from it, right? You didn't change from like you did on a vegan diet, right? Because on the vegan diet, you just did not enjoy it. And of course, you're not going to keep it. If you're not enjoying it, you're not going to stick to that diet. I wouldn't be able to. I'll be honest, all right? I don't think most people would. I think most people would get off that diet fairly quick. Now, for me, I already know that keto for me wouldn't be the best diet for weight loss. Why? Because back in the day, a Young Foods for Health, was trying Atkins, all right? And, it's very similar, all right? If not the exact same. Atkins was low carbohydrate, all right? I knew for me, my energy was zapped on an Atkins diet. So very similar to a keto diet, all right? And training and things of that nature. So for me, it would not be the best diet to lose weight. Okay? The best diet for me is just a well-balanced diet. All right? Of good protein sources, good complex carbohydrates, and healthy fats with a lot of veggies thrown in there. Moderate fruit as well. Like 2 to 3 servings of fruit. No more than 3. That's the best diet for me. Now, does that mean that might be the best diet for Rupal or Stacy or Susan or Anarchy? Absolutely not. Or Deborah? Absolutely not. Keto could be the best one for you. So that's my whole point here, guys. Be open-minded. I know a lot of the times we're going to see things like, intermittent fast. Right now, a big one is intermittent fasting. All right. There's a book that just came out. I believe it's called The Obesity Code. All right. Which came out. And it said to lose weight, the best thing to do that, this is kind of a synopsis of what it was. I had it sort of explained to me, read a little bit of it. Really pushing towards intermittent fasting, all right? I think it's called the obesity code. I believe that's what it was, but really pushing intermittent fasting and things of that nature. All right, but if you're not a fan, all right, I've tried intermittent fasting before. All right, you can try it and see how it works for you, but it's not going to work for everyone. Okay, I don't like, and again, this is my opinion, guys. All right, I don't like taking one diet or one way of eating and saying that's the best way. That's the way to crack the obesity code. You're going to lose weight on this diet, because it's not going to work for everyone. And to think that it does might be, all right, a little naive, all right, or it might be a little wishful thinking. Because I already know for myself, and working with hundreds of people, intermittent fasting is not going to work for everyone. All right, it's just not. It doesn't matter if you're doing 8 hours, 6 hours, or 4-hour windows. All right, I've tried them all personally. A lot of people just aren't going to enjoy that way of eating. All right, a lot of people will want meals, all right, that are around their workouts. If you're intermittent fasting, you have to take that into consideration. Okay, so again, the best diet to lose weight, the best way of eating to lose weight is the one that you can maintain for long periods of time, maybe the rest of your life, that you can make a lifestyle change on and continue to eat in a calorie deficit. That's truly probably the best way of looking at weight loss. What can you maintain a calorie deficit on? If it's keto, great, and you enjoy keto and that's the one for you, that's going to be the best diet for you. If it's vegan, perfect, okay? We can make vegan work. Paleo, intermittent fasting. Just because it didn't work for me doesn't mean it's not going to work for other people, right? So keep an open mind. As long as we're eating, I think, and the thing with keto that a lot of people will drive a lot of people to keto, let's be honest, all right? You see these comments all the time. Wow, I love to eat bacon and eggs for breakfast, or steak and bacon every day for breakfast, all right? Or just eat that in general, okay? But they don't take into consideration the other restrictions or the way that they're going to feel in ketosis, all right? And let's be honest, you're going to be restricted, okay? Now, is the restriction a good or bad thing for you? Well, it depends. Are you going to be able to give up 100% of carbohydrates or next to 100%? Because you're only going to be eating probably about, all right, a lot of people will say 10%. It's probably going to be less than that. Are you okay taking out literally one macronutrient from your diet? Are you going to be okay not eating fruits or having to watch fruit, not being able to eat certain vegetables that you liked before? Okay, and that's just the start. All right, we're talking about fruit and veggies. All right, fruit and veggies, healthy foods, all right, that usually we don't think twice about. Are you going to be able to take carrots out of your diet, an apple, okay, a pear? I know it's a good season now for fruit as it's getting warmer, especially where I am. All right, again, am I going to want to restrict myself from mango, pineapple, watermelon, things of that nature? All right, and again, we're talking about fruits and vegetables here. We're not even talking about if you enjoy, let's say, whole wheat bread, because remember, you don't have to be scared of carbohydrates, guys. If you're not gluten sensitive, right? If you don't have a gluten sensitivity, if you can make it work and make it fit into your diet, there is nothing wrong with 100% whole wheat bread. All right, or at least not to the fact that we hear a lot of the times. A lot of people will say, well, I'm trying to lose weight, I can't eat bread. Well, you're not going to lose weight if you cut bread out, but you're still eating a surplus of calories. So see what I mean? That's why I don't think people have to be scared of carbohydrates. I think carbohydrates sometimes will get a little bit of a bad rap. There was a big study that just came out, very interesting one, even on nutrient timing. Right? So some people might eat carbohydrates, but cut them at like 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. All right? But a big study just came out where they're even seeing now that carbohydrate nutrient timing isn't important or isn't as important for losing weight. Some people, they did a study where people would cut it off at 4 or 3 p.m. I forget exactly what time. And some people ate carbohydrates before bed. There was no change in how much weight they lost, all right, or in results. What matters, again, and I will keep reiterating this because this is the part that it boils down to. If you want to lose weight, you have to be in a calorie deficit. Okay. And so it doesn't matter what diet it is. That's why I say keto can be the best for you, or it might not be the best for you. It's the best for you to lose weight if you love it, you enjoy the foods that you're eating, and you can maintain a calorie deficit on it. And you're living a quality of life. Your lifestyle changes aren't being affected. You have lots of energy. Great. It's going to be perfect for you. If you're not going to be having that, all right, and you're finding it tough, if you're feeling too restricted, taking out a macronutrient, carbohydrates pretty much out of your diet, then it's probably going to be the wrong diet for you, not the best one, because you're probably not going to stick to it, and it's probably going to cause you to eat a surplus of calories, maybe a few more treats, a few more refeeds. Definitely not even getting in ketosis once we get to that point, guys. And remember, ketosis is the metabolic state where we start using fat as energy. So sometimes people will hear, I'll get asked a lot, what exactly is ketosis? How do I get into it? Well, you have to eat pretty much next to zero carbohydrates, no simple carbs, that's for sure. And then eat mostly I keep saying it, healthy fats, but it's not. See, this is where I had to get my mind wrapped around it. It's not healthy fats. It's just fats in general and protein. Again, because healthy fats aren't necessarily the biggest worry for someone who's in ketosis. Now, why do I say, and if anyone has any questions on, and Rupo, a lot of good points there, my friend, a lot of good points. I'm definitely reading them here, and I won't disagree with what you're saying. Sometimes you have to be, like Stacy said, a macro detective. Sometimes you have to be almost a cost or price detective, shopping detective as well, to look for deals and stuff like that. Because sometimes certain foods that you want can be a little bit more expensive. I 100% agree. So I definitely hear you there, my friend. All right, now again, if there's someone eating a keto diet and they're in, they believe that they're in ketosis, let me know. Let me know how many refeeds you have a week, because I'll pretty much almost argue that if you're having refeeds every 5 days or twice a week, all right, so 2 times, you're only 5 days eating a ketogenic diet, and the other days you're just eating a normal diet. All right, I argue that you're not really ever going to be in ketosis. And why is that? Why am I saying that you're not going to be in a keto diet if you're refeeding or having a cheat meal every twice a week? So it could be every couple of days. Well, typically, if you want to get into ketosis, remember I said you're not magically going to get into it by the next day. It takes most people 2 to 4 or even longer, at least 2. All right, and I would even argue sometimes, a lot of the times you see in studies, 3 days. All right, but we will see, it's been shown that as low as 2. All right, but 2 to 5 days just to get back in ketosis. All right, you got to give it a couple days. All right, or a few days. So if you're doing it, think about it. If you're doing it 2 times within a 7-day span, when are you giving yourself enough days to get into ketosis? You're really not. Maybe you might get into ketosis for like 12 hours, but the rest of the time you're going to be out of ketosis. And again, you're only going to get back in is if you eat a very low amount of carbohydrates. Now, am I saying no carbohydrates? No, absolutely not. But you have to monitor them, because I believe it was Stacy who said that you're eating 30 grams of carbohydrates. That's pretty close to your max, I think, for most people, unless you're a little bit bigger. Because remember, your maintenance amount of calories is going to change based on your own weight, your own body weight. Unless you're unless you're allowed to eat a little bit more calories, all right, you're going to be within that 30 range, all right, 25 to 30 grams of carbs a day. Maybe at most, the most I've seen is 50. And so that's why I say, guys, are you going to be having oatmeal if you're trying to get in ketosis? Well, no, because only usually, at least I know for my oatmeal, if I have 2/3 of a cup, I'm going to have 50 grams of carbs right there. And I got to add a little bit of milk to it too. So I'm over already. I add blueberries to it just in that one meal, not even counting the protein source that I eat with it. I'm already over my carbohydrate limit for the day. So that's why I say if you're trying to get into keto and into ketosis, you're not going to be eating things like oatmeal. Someone had mentioned, I think it was Anarchy, green grapes. Now, why did I say no to green grapes? Well, let's take a look at how many calories are in grapes. All right, let's take a quick look. I'll search it real quick. All right, so let's just say grapes, green grapes, nutrition. All right, so we already looked at it for apricots and dried foods and things of that nature. Can we find green grapes? Let's just look at grapes in general. Oh, here we go. So if we look at the nutrition, we see in just a half cup serving. So think of how many, if you're eating grapes, half a cup is not a lot. Half a cup is not even a handful, I don't think. All right, so half a cup of grapes. I mean, who eats half a cup? If we're really being honest, who eats? I definitely wouldn't. Think about a half a cup measuring cup, guys, and then put grapes in there. You're literally only going to be able to fit probably like 6 to 8 grapes in that half a cup. All right, so 6 to 8 grapes is not a lot. But with let's say 6 to 8 grapes, max of 10. All right, max of 10 grapes. A half serving of green grapes. All right, 14 carbohydrates, 15 carbohydrates right there, right off the bat, but 12 grams of sugar. Okay, so say right there, just in a half cup of green grapes. And again, I don't know a lot of people who are only going to eat 6 to 8 grapes. It's not going to happen. Right? It's not even a handful of them. Say you can eat 30 grams of carbohydrates. That's your max for the day. Just in 8 grapes, let's call it, that's half of your carbohydrates. And the sugar is just too high, okay? The sugar is just too high. You're going to be out of ketosis, all right? Because remember, those carbohydrates, you're going to want complex carbohydrates. So even just right there, if you're eating green grapes, it's going to be very, very tough. Very tough to stay at it for your, because you just have those grapes, you're not going to be full, you're not going to be satiated, guys. All right, and you're almost out of carbs. You just used half of them, sometimes more than half, depending on what your body weight is. Sorry, I'm missing out on, it's pretty interesting, isn't it, Anarchy? So think of it like that. That's why it may seem like I'm being so restrictive. But, when I do consultations and I'm working with clients who want to be on a keto diet and get into ketosis and stay in ketosis, that's why I have to be so almost on top of what they're eating, right? And pretty restrictive to them, all right? And to most people, not being allowed to eat 8 grapes, all right, is going to be restrictive. All right, let's be honest. Sorry, let me just catch up on a couple comments here. So does that make sense? That's why I said no to the green grapes. Or I said you'd have to make sure you really keep them in moderation. And I think 6 to 8 grapes is your definition of moderation. All right, I'd call it restrictive. Just personally, that's my own personal opinion. It might not be for other people, but for myself, definitely restrictive, because I don't know about you guys, but I don't sit down and eat 6 grapes. Okay, I also found that sourcing. Yep, that's a good point. Good point, Stacy. Much cheaper, absolutely. So I go to farmers. Yeah, you just said it. Sorry, farmers markets and things like that. You can get a good price on things. Rupal. Yep. So there you go. You read Stacy. Sorry, I got a little bit behind when I was searching for the green grapes there. Yep, no oatmeal. Exactly. The recommended serving alone is your daily allowance of carbs. Exactly. So we're right on the same point there, Stacy. So if you have oatmeal, you have 1 serving of that. And this is not to hate on the keto diet, guys. Let's make this clear. This is not to hate, say this is why you shouldn't do keto diet. This is why keto diet isn't good. This is why if you're doing keto diet, you should rethink it. That's 100% not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, though, is if you want to get on the keto diet, let's look at the facts. This is what you have to do. This is what you have to be eating. All right. And then that's when you make the decision, is it the best diet to lose weight? If you can do that stuff and stay in a calorie deficit, it is the best. It's probably going to be the best or one of the best diets for you to lose weight on. All right. But only if you can stick to the restrictions. And I will call them restrictions because you're taking out pretty much a whole macronutrient. You're pretty much taking out of your diet the opportunity to eat whole grains, the opportunity to eat fruits. All right, that can be pretty restrictive and pretty tough for some people. Not everyone, but for most people or some people, that's going to be pretty tough. Yeah, a whole bunch. Yeah, I think you're talking about grapes there, Rupal. Yeah, and then, that's normal. Food and how you approach the choices definitely change. Absolutely. Breakfast ideas and prep change for me. Oh, yeah. That's what I find with most clients as well, Stacy, like people's breakfast. Because let's face it, people will get like the whole wheat Cheerios or things like that, thinking that they're healthy, switching to oatmeal, things like that, which is a nice healthy choice. Very heart healthy, good in micronutrients, a nice complex carbohydrate. But once you get into that keto and they tell me they want to get into keto, you have to throw it out. You can't really enjoy it unless, you're sprinkling it on top of something. Smoothies become very tough. All right, smoothies become very tough to make for most people on a keto diet. All right, even eating a banana. All right, you're not going to have, a lot of people enjoy bananas. I don't know many people who don't like bananas. But even just simply grabbing a banana and having that for breakfast, which a lot of people do, you can't do that on a keto diet. Because within like most medium to large bananas, you're going to get, 25 grams of carbs, probably more. All right. And then, that's easily going to put you over for the day. So just keep that in mind, guys. And, we've already talked about a lot of the good things about keto, with the blood sugar levels, with the insulin levels, the types of foods that you can eat. For a lot of people, they enjoy eating meat, bacon, high-fat cheese, avocado, nuts and seeds, things of that nature. Even cruciferous vegetables people will enjoy. All right. So for them, I just want to make it clear and make it noticeable that I'm not hating on the keto diet. Absolutely not. I think you have to be open-minded when it comes to ways of eating and, what foods that you enjoy. And you also have to be open-minded on, what most people are going to enjoy. Are most people going to enjoy being on a keto diet where they can't eat green grapes or, can't really enjoy apples or even oranges, things of that nature? Sometimes that's going to be tough, even if you enjoy things like black beans. All right, these are all foods that I'm bringing up because these are foods that I've talked about in other live streams that have had a lot of health benefits to them. All right, so you have to replace that with other foods. All right, and if you're replacing them with other foods, are you getting the same health benefits? It's kind of a weighing of it. All right. So you're taking out those complex carbohydrates, which a lot of them are going to give you good benefits. We know for beans, the fiber, the micronutrients, the complex carb, the slow digestion, all of that stuff is going to be very helpful. Okay? But they have to go out the window if you're eating a keto diet. Homemade walnut yogurt. Nice. See, Stacy, you have all the recipes. As someone who follows a keto diet, that all sounds very, very interesting. And again, if you are following the keto diet, kind of like Stacy's bringing up, sometimes you can have enjoyable foods because those are all good, but coming up with options like that, you're going to have a much better chance of enjoying the diet. All right, and while sticking to it and staying with it. So I think that's why, Stacy, you've had such good success, all right, is because you're doing such a good job of adding in these foods to keep you satiated, to keep variation in your diet, all right, and allow you to stick to it. So I think that's great. So remember, guys, let's sum up sort of the title here. Is keto diet the best diet to lose weight, or the best way of eating, whatever you want to call it, the best way The best lifestyle change, mindset, important words which you guys have used. All right, is it the best diet? All right, the best way to lose weight? Only if you can follow it, and then only if you enjoy it. All right. And if you don't enjoy it and you can't stay in ketosis and you're doing a lot of refeeds or you're cheating a lot and taking you out of ketosis, there's really no point in trying the keto diet because the benefits of it are just being lost. All right. And then those other days you're restricting for no reason. You're staying high fat, high protein, pretty much zero carb for no reason because you're not in ketosis anymore anyway. All right. Remember, it takes 2, 3, 4, 5 days to stay in ketosis. A lot of people will cycle the refeeds. So 2 times a week, even 1 time. Even if you're doing it 1 time, think about it. 3 days you're on, 1 day off, 3 days you're on. Well, for some people, it's going to take at least 2 days, all right, average 3 to 4. So if you're doing an average of 3 to 4, you're never in ketosis, all right? You're never in there, okay? Just because you're not giving yourself enough time after adding all those carbohydrates to your diet. Maxie, welcome to the chat. I don't know if I would say it's the worst diet. For some people, it's the worst diet. Maxie, you probably maybe didn't have a really good experience with it. And again, I can definitely respect that. But for some people, and a couple of clients that I've worked with, they enjoy it. Again, I don't think there's best or worst. I think it's just dependent on the person. So, what you're saying there, I definitely respect that. For you, again, the bad fats to good fats. And it was hard for me to say sometimes, I'll admit, and you guys heard me kind of saying it sometimes. I was about to say healthy fats and always say healthy fats. But as Maxie points out and what I was pointing out, how's it going, Maxie? And as I was pointing out in this entire live stream, healthy versus bad, that isn't necessarily a major concern or something that people on a keto diet necessarily have to think about because they just need fat, all right? And they're going to need to stick to the high-fat foods. Like, let's be honest. Again, they're going to have to stick to some of those bad fats because if they're eating good fats when it comes to dairy products, cream, cheese, things of that nature, if they're eating low-fat, all right, then it's not going to work for them because they're adding carbohydrates and milk sugars to their diet. They're going to want cream. They're going to want the high-fat even cottage cheese and things like that, the high-fat cheese. Right? Again, the lower the fat, the higher the carbohydrates. So they're going to want to stay with those bad fats. Hey, Matt, good to see you. Always good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining again today. We've been going over the keto diet. It's great to see familiar faces, new people in here. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And so this is why it's such an interesting topic, because now we know what the ketogenic, so keto is just short for ketogenic, all right? It's a ketogenic diet. To get why people would want to do that, or what the whole diet is fat, not healthy fat. So again, I'm getting there, all right? I'm not saying healthy fat, it's fat, high fat, and moderate to high protein, and next to zero carbohydrates. I would say on average 5% of your diet is going to come from carbohydrates. Some people are going to argue 10. I think that might just be too much, but it's dependent on how many calories you can eat for your maintenance. Okay? If your maintenance is 2,000, of course, the amount of carbs you're going to be eating is going to be low. All right? Again, if your maintenance calories is 2,500. All right. Obviously, you might be eating a little bit more carbs. Okay. But the percentage doesn't change. The percentage stays the same. You're still going to have about roughly a 5 to 10% at max amount of carbohydrates in your diet. Okay. I still think 10% is too high because let's face it, if 2,000 calories is, what's 10%? 200? Yeah. So I still think that's too many carbohydrates. you're not going to be eating and that's a low maintenance level of calories. If your maintenance level is, and yes, Maxie, exactly. We talked about that a little bit earlier. It's basically the Atkins diet. So that I mentioned that keto, I know wouldn't work for me is because I've tried the Atkins diet before and it just did not work for me. Again, does that mean it's not going to work for someone else? Absolutely not. But in a lot of ways, it's sort of just coming back to a lot of the same principles as the Atkins diet. Okay? Hey, no problem, Mac. But as Stacy mentioned, again, if we look at it not in weight loss, then someone who has to watch out for metabolic syndrome, insulin resistance, has to watch their blood sugar levels, watch the insulin responses or insulin levels. Again, that's where it changes. Keto is going to have benefits for different people, right? Not just pertaining to weight loss, but because we're talking about weight loss, that's why we've generally stuck to it today. There's saturated fat. Which one is truly healthy fat? Interesting, Stacy. That might be an interesting topic for a whole discussion right there. I think, that's interesting. What diet do I like? Well, the one that I like is sort of a well-balanced diet of carbohydrates, sort of higher in protein. Sometimes I'll go 40% carbs, 40% protein, 20% healthy fats. Just a balanced diet. That's the one that works best for me. And again, that's not going to work for everyone, but that's the one that I like. And that's the one that I can maintain and I enjoy. So again, that for me would be the best diet to lose weight on because I can stick to it, I enjoy it, and I'm happy being on it. And I'm eating foods on it that are going to keep me satiated and keep me happy, for one thing. But again, we brought up a lot of points, why keto can be hard, how it can be a little bit restrictive. Again, I would call any diet, and again, this is my opinion, I would call any diet where I can't eat a banana restrictive, where I can't eat more than 8 grapes, where I can't eat an apple or a pear, where I have to be careful with that, where I can't eat oatmeal. For me, that would be restrictive. All right. For me, I would find that to be very restrictive, guys. Even berries like strawberries, blueberries, things of that nature, certain vegetables like carrots, I would find that to be a little restrictive myself. Beets, again, out the window. Again, it's all dependent on the person. All right. Are they happy on the diet? Are they not happy on the diet? Are they able to follow the diet? All of those different things. And then that's where it depends on person to person. But yeah, I think those are the major points, guys. Just be careful. I wanted to talk a little bit about what the keto diet was, just because if it's so popular right now, same with intermittent fasting. We could have a whole discussion on intermittent fasting right now, I feel like. But with the keto diet, it's so popular right now. So many people are trying to get on it. We just have to make sure. That's why we discussed what it was, all right, the variations of it, and why people are starting to get on it. And we know that they're on it because they want to get into ketosis, which is a metabolic state where they're going to be using fat as fuel or as energy. Okay? And that's because they're eating such low carbohydrates. I think 10% is too high, to be honest. I think you're looking at most 5% of your calories coming from carbohydrates. Probably less. Okay, probably less. A lot of the times people are eating 50 or less grams of carbohydrates. Okay, if you're eating 50 grams of carbohydrates, that might give you the 10%. Okay, because on average, let's say here's how it works. Say you're eating 2,000 calories, that's your maintenance level. All right. If you eat 50 grams of carbohydrates, that's going to give you 200 calories, which is 10% of your total caloric intake. That's how they're getting that 10%. But a lot of people, even for 50 grams of carbohydrates, is just too high. A lot of people will do 30 grams or less. That's where you really see the benefits of ketosis being sort of demonstrated there. If you're eating 50 grams of carbohydrates, even for some people, it can take you as much as 4 to 5 days to get into ketosis. So again, if you're having refeeds, cheats 2 times, even 1 time in a week, so because a lot of people will cycle on their keto diet, then a lot of the times you are never in ketosis. So we just have to keep in mind what the facts of the keto diet are, why they might be tough, but also the benefits. And if it works for you, then that's awesome. All right. If it works for you, you can lose weight on it. Absolutely. And it could be the best diet for you. All right. Or it might not be the best diet for you. All right. Depending on if you're able to stick to it. That's the most important things. And if you can stick to it and be happy on it while you're on it. Okay, guys. If there's any more questions, feel free to ask. But I think we'll probably end it there. We've been going for 105 minutes. Jeez, what's that, an hour and 45 minutes? Time just flying by, just talking about keto and the foods that we can eat. But remember, for the list, if you're trying to get on a keto diet, I like to keep it simple. It's high fat, moderate to high protein, and very low carbohydrate. So you need to know what foods, what the macronutrients of the foods that you're eating are. You need to know how many carbohydrates are in each food. All right, you need to know the carbohydrates. That's probably the most important thing, because if you're going over, you can quickly get out of ketosis. All right, and then never get into ketosis. So carbohydrates becomes the most important thing. So again, really have to make sure that you're watching the macronutrients. So let's end it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that was helpful. I hope you guys were able to learn a little bit about the keto diet. Whether it's the best diet to lose weight. Again, that is only dependent on if you are able to stick to the keto diet. Again, in my personal opinion, to sum up, the best diet to lose weight, all right, or the best way of eating to lose weight is the one that you're going to be able to stick to and to stay in a calorie deficit on. All right, and one that you enjoy, because those two they all go hand in hand. All right, so the best one is the one that's going to work for you. The one that you can, if to lose weight, to be in a calorie deficit, because the only way to lose weight is you have to be in that deficit of calories, guys. If you're at maintenance or a surplus, you're not going to be losing weight. Surplus, you're gaining weight. So I hope that was helpful. My pleasure, Rupal. Thank you so much for your time and for your advice. Hey, my pleasure again. Anarchy, no problem. Rupal, no problem. Anarchy. Stacy, thank you so much for all your input, for the engagement. Same with you, Rupal and Anarchy. Thank you to everyone else. Maxie, Deborah for coming in. Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate you. Susan, really appreciate it. Sorry, that's as high as I can scroll up. So if I'm leaving anyone out, I apologize, guys. So as always, I think we've been doing this now. We got 24 thumbs up. Thank you for that as well, guys. Appreciate that. You guys giving so many thumbs up. Always love seeing that. Again, we've been doing this for, it's got to be 4 months now or more. So it's staying consistent with the 2 times a week, guys. Getting on here for well over an hour and 30 minutes now. Sometimes 2 hours. So 4 hours a week, discussing healthy foods, discussing ways of eating, the benefits, all right, what types of foods, all of that different stuff, all right, being consistent with it. So you guys can pretty much count on me being here on Wednesdays. The times might change a little bit, but you guys can always expect, 2 discussions per week, all right, and I'm sticking to that. You as well, Rupal. Thank you very much. So in addition to that as well, guys, wow, you guys are really smashing that like button. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Just seeing it fly up there now. Thank you, guys. Turn away for 1 second to read a comment. I look back and we're already at 27. Thank you so much, guys. But again, for about 4 months now, all right, so not going anywhere. And also the daily videos are going to continue. Got the one with oranges. All right, I think you guys will find interesting. So oranges, all right, a nice healthy fruit, which I like, and kind of coming into season here, so that's always nice. All right, guys, so give that a watch if you like. Again, they're always going to be coming out with interesting videos, all right, on a daily basis. So thank you so much, guys. Always appreciate it. Appreciate the support. again, like I have mentioned in a couple streams here now, YouTube is not my job. I am not a YouTuber. Sometimes I'll get comments on that, or people asking how to become a YouTuber. I'm not a YouTuber. This is just a passion project that I give my free time to, and I just love doing and love interacting with you guys. So just to make that clear. So thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you all. Expect me here on Sunday. We'll have another interesting topic. I got a couple in mind, to be honest with you guys. A couple in mind that I think are going to be interesting, and I think you guys will enjoy. But hope you guys enjoy that. Hope you were able to learn something. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I always enjoy talking to you guys. Susan, see you Sunday. Absolutely. Probably be around the same time, guys, but I'll make sure I set the reminder early in the morning for my early in the morning here. And that way you guys know exactly the time which we'll be on. And if I'm a little bit late, it's usually because I'm getting the video up before I do the live stream. So thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you all. I'll let you know the topic on Sunday, Susan. It's going to be, like I said, I got like 3 or 4. I'm always thinking ahead. As you guys know, it can be tough sometimes to come up with daily video ideas. That's why I'm always thinking of topics a couple days beforehand, because I got to do some research before it as well. So always thinking about the next topic. I'm not exactly 100% sure what the topic on Sunday is going to be, but I got like 3, 4 written down that I'm going to choose from and just see which one I'm feeling like on Sunday to discuss with you guys, and which I think you'll find the most interesting. But I'll leave it as sort of a little surprise for you guys. All right? So thank you, Susan, again. Thank you, everyone. I appreciate you. Everyone have a happy, safe, and healthy Wednesday. And I will make sure that I see you on Sunday, guys, for our next chat. Thank you so much for stopping in. And like I said, talk to you live on Sunday.